Good evening. Welcome to Tuesday Night Live. We have a special guest, Hannah, who will be joining us shortly. Tonight's topic is LGBTQ, Invisibility, in Previvor, Thriver, and Survivor support communities. We're coming together to bring more awareness to the LGBTQ community with Previvor, Survivors, and Thrivers. Hannah and I have been following each other for quite some time, and just give us a minute. She'll be with us shortly. Have just been following each other, and her coming out and sharing her story has been so inspiring to me because everybody has different journeys and different paths that they take and live. And being able to express yourself and making sure that you're comfortable and enjoying the community is so important. And I partnered with Hannah tonight just to come on and talk about the community and bring some more awareness and share with the community what she's going through, what she's facing, and a little bit more about her story. So again, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. And just give us a couple minutes as we're waiting for Hannah to join. Good evening, everybody. Again, thank you so much for joining. We are just waiting for Hannah to join in. Good evening.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. Okay, let me just adjust this real quick.
No problem. So how's everything? Oh, it's afternoon over there, right? I should say good afternoon to you.
Oh, it's 5 o'clock here.
Oh, so good evening.
The snow has stopped.
Oh, I'm so jealous. I still say, like I said last night, I just throw me a snowball, like just make it happen. I grew up in that and I miss it so much.
Oh gosh, I didn't even realize we just moved here from California a little over a month ago, and now we're in Colorado, and we literally had snow in May. We don't live in the mountains. We're in the foothills on the eastern side of the mountains. But yeah, apparently we get Arctic weather in May.
There you go, right? You're always prepared for the unknown sometimes, right? We never know what's going to happen as moms too, I'm sure. Did your daughter enjoy it?
Oh my gosh, she loves the snow. She's Nordic by ancestry. I mean, what can you she's like fourth generation, fifth generation American, but like ancestry wise, she's Nordic, but she loves it. Like
That makes it easier,
can't
right? Like
can't
bundling
beat
her
the
up and
kid.
stuff. So, well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm so excited to have you. As I was sharing with everybody tonight, we're speaking with you regarding the LGBTQ invisibility of Previvors, Survivors, and Survivors to support communities to all come together. And I know for a while we've been following each other and we featured you before, but one thing that's really caught my attention that I want to share with the community is your honesty and your commitment to wanting to make a difference as
Mhm.
a provider who's going through something, right? And not
Right.
just going through your physical journey, but going through within journeys within yourself that have been around. And now we're really probably coming to a more head and making
Yeah.
sure that that's really being seen in our community. So I really want to thank you for that and your
Well, thank
dedication.
you, one, for opening your platform to this conversation. That's one step against that invisibility. So thank you.
And like I said to you, diversity is very important in our community from every aspect, right? That LGBTQ, the different ethnicities, like we need to bring
Yeah.
more awareness. And just because
Yeah.
we're part of different communities doesn't make us any different. We all need to understand that knowledge is power. Everybody has
Mhm.
options. And, the option that you chose obviously was flat closure and, going on and sharing that and being so inspiring just to show other women that it's okay.
Honestly, what it comes down to, if you're faced with this type of decision, truly, as far as I'm concerned, the best decision you can make is the best decision for you. What works best for you? What is going to align with your physical needs, your mental health needs, and whatever that choice is, I'm going to support you. Because that's what I did. I made the best choice for me. Like, I'm not here to judge. I mean, this community is about support and encouragement and helping each other get through something that we didn't want to anticipate or even think of for ourselves. And Some of us don't know we have a genetic risk. Some of us don't get that warning and don't get the chance to become a previvor. Others are just diagnosed. And frankly, it's not just straight people. It's not just straight heterosexual cisgender women that get diagnosed.
Right.
So that's, yeah. So thank you for having me on.
Of course, and you touched on something before we get started that's really imperative, and I'd like to bring it back because mental health awareness is this month, right? A lot of us go into isolation, don't share, don't talk about it, and shut down. And these are the reason we have these platforms is for everybody to come. And if you're not comfortable going live, you want to DM somebody, you can always feel free to reach out to me. And I'm sure Hannah has her DMs open, and you can talk to her. This is a safe
absolutely.
place. And mental health is a huge part of this. And a lot of us just shut down, but let's support each other, no judging, and just be one, because that's what we are. We shouldn't be looked at different, no matter who we are or what we decide, whether you decide to go flat or, have reconstruction, whatever that choice is, it's a very personal choice and nobody can make that decision for you.
Yes. So one thing I do want to know going into this, that as of summer last year, maybe my dates are wrong, but cancer.gov, uscancer.gov finally recognized aesthetic flat closure on their cancer website as an official form of reconstruction. And the reason why I bring this up is because for decades, flat closure has been denied as a reconstruction option to women, either from surgeons just choosing to leave skin behind for when their patient changes their mind, to a whole host of other medical abuses. Choosing aesthetic flat closure is a reconstruction option. And
that needs to be known. That needs to be known. And I can tell you, as we just launched our website on BrackaStrong.org, it is one of our options for reconstruction. Because a lot of women don't know that option. Besides, we don't know our breast reconstruction options in general, but now on top of it, women don't know about flat anesthetic closure, and I think it's really important. So we actually added that to our website because we really want women to know they have every option, and there is so many of them.
There are, and I'm still learning of new options that I thought I was well informed going into my surgery, and I still wouldn't change anything. But even today, I'm learning of different reconstruction options that weren't posed to me as I was going through my consultation process. And likely that has to do with body type, other health or risk factors. But there are just an entire wide range of reconstruction options that I don't think we really know about. That's what it comes down to.
That's why I'm going to tell you, we have updated our website to everything up to 2020. We actually partnered with one of our sponsors, PRMA in Texas, actually helped us configure this for our website because I'm so tired of my own battles and finding there's no standard of care for plastic breast reconstruction. I'm so tired of it, and I'm not going to just be quiet about it. I'm going to make it known and let this community know there's options. If Dr. A doesn't give you your options, check out Dr. B, check out Dr. C. Do what's best for you and know those options. So
absolutely, because as I said in the beginning, you need to make the best choice for you.
Yep, I agree.
Best choice for you. And that means, people are going to be in your ear. You got family, you got friends, you got people you don't even know trying to tell you what they think is best for you. But you know what is best for you.
Yep. So thank you for sharing that. And I'd like to start, and let's just start with a basic couple questions that I have for you just to learn. I know I learned a little bit about you, but sharing with the community I think is so important, and having a relationship and building them with our community around us. So, when did you learn about hereditary breast cancer and ovarian cancer and your risks?
Well, I have to say it's been at least 20 years since I was a teenager that I learned of my family risk for breast cancer and ovarian cancer through my maternal grandfather's family. My grandfather was one of 8, 4 sisters. 3 of those 4 sisters passed away from either breast or ovarian cancer, and they assume his mom passed away from breast cancer. They didn't know it was prior to testing, but through the family lines of those sisters, there's just been so many cancers amongst the men
Has
and
it
the
only been breast and
women.
ovarian?
Sorry?
Has it only been breast and ovarian?
No, there's been others. The men have experienced peritoneal cancers, pancreatic cancers. There's even been, I want to say, prostate and bladder amongst the men, but the women have overwhelmingly been breast cancer and ovarian cancer. It wasn't until about 2013, one of my second cousins in her mid 30s during her second pregnancy was diagnosed with breast cancer. Then, because of the family history and the now availability testing for the BRCA1, BRCA2 genetic mutations, it was determined that BRCA1 mutation did exist within our family line. I just want to mention, as I said, that she was pregnant. The baby was delivered preterm, but lived and is now a healthy, happy 10-year-old. You never know. She survived her cancer. She had Reconstruction. But it was like 2010, 2013, somewhere in there that our family learned for sure we carried the BRCA mutation. But it wasn't until 3 years ago for myself, a little over 3 years ago, that I personally learned I had it. Because somebody in my direct line finally got cancer and was tested for it. My grandpa didn't die from cancer, so we didn't know for sure he was carrier. Now we do.
What was your attitude about the surgery and reconstruction at the time you found out you were a genetic carrier?
Oh my God. So between teenage years to genetic carrier, I went from maybe it's a female teenager mindset, but like, oh my God, that's how I'm going to get my perfect C's, to, well, now I'm planning parenthood and I don't care about my boobs in that regard. Like, um, obviously the mindset of teenager versus adult changes as you grow. And where I started versus where I wound up, I couldn't have anticipated that. And I don't say that to say that, I just mean to say it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to have an evolving perspective, especially as you learn more and become more informed about what you're going through.
Exactly. No, I definitely. When you found out about you carried the mutation, where did you seek support? Where did you start? Where did you go?
Honestly, I went straight online and just Googled like BRCA1 support or BRCA support or something like that. And I wound up on BRCA Strong on Instagram. I can't explain the method, but I did. And even though at the time I wasn't immediately ready to jump into surgery or preventative measures, I found a community of people that were at various stages with their journeys and were just openly and vulnerably sharing their stories. Um, I thought I was going to find people to commiserate with, and instead I ended up being empowered and supported and lifted up and encouraged in a way I didn't anticipate, finding out I had a 75% chance of getting breast cancer through the course of my life. So,
And how did that community help you? Like, what did you talk about in the beginning? Did you open up to anybody? Like,
yeah, so actually, I mean, because of the diverse stories shared by individual people in this community, I felt some connection with one person I didn't even know that had chose aesthetic flat closure and was being honest about her struggles with reconciling that post-surgery, having thought that she had done the wrong thing. And at the same time, somebody else who was going to do double mastectomy with expanders into implants and straight into the full reconstruction thing. And I started conversations with both of them, just reaching out like, hey, I'm so sorry you're going through this. This is what I'm going through. Is there anything you could share? Blah, blah, blah. I don't want to say blah, blah, blah because it's all important. But just being like, both of their reactions were welcoming, warm. Here's a hug, even though I don't know you, and here's the honest truth about my experience. And it was so enlightening and liberating in my coming into this community. Like, I immediately knew that something as serious as this, there's a letdown of the guard people normally have for themselves. And they're willing to become more vulnerable because they know somebody else is in the same type of pain they're in, and they want to share. And those two different experiences, very different reconstructive experiences, both BRCA diagnoses, whatever your genetic diagnosis is that leads you to this decision, but varied reasons and choices in the reconstruction process. And the response was the same. The response was, I love you, I'm here for you, let me know what you need. And I couldn't let that go. And as I got deeper into my journey, I had to start sharing myself.
Thank you. Why were you so confident in choosing flat closure? Is it because of the two women that you spoke to, or was it just a choice that you chose?
Well, I have to say the advice and experiences from those women, excuse me, definitely lended a perspective in terms of, you have to make the best choice for you.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started thinking about what is the best choice for me, knowing what issues I have, what mental health issues I have, or what I know to be true for myself, choosing any type of physical reconstruction option that was going to be false boobs wasn't going to work for me. I knew I wasn't going to connect with something I couldn't feel,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
100%.
And that's not the same for every woman. Okay, I'm not saying that choice is wrong. I just knew it would bring me more problems. I knew flat closure was the right choice for me. Also because I have a 2-year-old and I didn't want to be more physically limited or facing additional complications as a result of my reconstruction choice. When I have to be a parent to a 2-year-old that I love, that loves to climb on my lap. So I made the best choice for me, and I chose aesthetic flat closure.
What was the feedback you got from your physicians? Were they okay with it? Did they give you a hard time? I know, we talk about going flat to some of our physicians. We do get a lot of pushback,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can
I have
tell
to
you
say
straight
that,
up, and that's how it is. Physicians here in Florida, with the complications that I've gone through, they're like flat closure. And I'm like, it's a personal choice,
mm-hmm.
and we do hear that there's some feedback. So, from the physicians, did you get any pushback? What was their
Yeah.
reaction?
So I actually had my first consultation when I was 6 months postpartum, still breastfeeding, exclusively breastfeeding. And I had a consultation with the surgeon that told me I had nursed more than enough and I needed to hurry up and schedule my surgery because how would my family feel if I got breast cancer? And I said, okay, goodbye. I'm going to seek a second opinion.
Right.
And I did. And this surgeon said, you're 32, 33. We can continue breastfeeding as long as you like. We can do scans as long as you like, do your self-exams. We'll proceed as you're ready. And I'm like, great, thank you. The plastic surgeon that I met with, I told him immediately that I was like 95% sure I wanted aesthetic flat closure, that I had done my own research, but he wasn't entirely dismissive of that. He was like, well, I would encourage you to visit this panel, different women that have had different reconstruction options, what they chose, the experiences. And I was like, yeah, of course, I want to be well informed. I don't want to dismiss any of that. I will do that. And I did. And I still thought aesthetic flat closure was for me. And I just went with that. But it was just really interesting how one surgeon was just like, do it now, and another was like, let's talk about it when you're ready.
And that's the thing is, again, there's no gold standard. Here we go back. You can go see physician A and he says, no, let's do it right now. But physician
Yep.
B says something different, and that's the problem. A lot of women get mixed feelings. What do we do? Where do we go? Do I have treatment first for those that are survivors? Do I have
Mhm.
reconstruction after? Do I go in for expanders after my radiation? Like these
Yeah.
are all things that really in our community, yeah, they're spoken about, but they're not focused on at all. You know, maybe you could talk a little bit about your experience since you have had surgery and going through the mental health part and just going through what's within you as
Mhm.
you created a
Mhm.
podcast and you've shared so much out there. But through that process and healing, how would you advise the community, and what advice would you give them on taking your time in healing, looking at your scars the way you did, which was so powerful and inspiring to the community. And if you guys haven't seen it, follow David on Instagram, look at that video because words say it all, actions, and it hit home. And that's what we need to accept, right? We need to embrace our scars, make them signs of beauty instead of saying, oh, well, they're scars, right? Like I used to tell myself all the time, how do you want to be remembered? Like I used to write it on my mirror because how do I want to be remembered? I don't want to look at my scars every day and remind myself, of this. This is what I did. No, let's make this positive. And it's not always easy. And I could say, 6 years out from a mastectomy, I'm hurting. There's no lie. And there's going to be good days and bad days. But to talk about them and to be real about them is important.
Yes. Um, and taking everything you just said, a story comes to mind that honestly I didn't think I was going to share, but I think this really sums up how I felt before surgery and how I now feel after. I mentioned before that I I was diagnosed BRCA1 positive a little over 3 years ago. It actually turns out it was 6 weeks before I got pregnant. And I got pregnant. I had a pregnancy. I was determined to breastfeed. I was determined to breastfeed as long as we both could, as long as it both served us. And part of the reason I put off my screenings and surgery and everything was because I was focusing on my breastfeeding relationship. I had never really felt so connected to my breast before that moment. I mean, I'm a queer person. I identify as genderqueer is the umbrella term I like. It doesn't matter what pronoun you call me. I feel like you can't misgender me. But when it comes to mental and physical connection, my breasts always felt superfluous. Just an extension that I had to girdle with a bra that was uncomfortable. Anyway, and so now I have a baby that I want to have a nursing relationship with, and we did. And we nursed up to the day before surgery. We started weaning a few months before surgery, where I kind of just stopped. It wasn't so much on a schedule. It became if she asked for it, I gave it to her, and that was it. I didn't offer anymore. And in those 3 months, it reduced to like maybe once a day she was asking for Ninny. That was her word for it. And the day before surgery, she asked for Ninny, and she had been latched like 1 minute. And I kind of started like soft tearing because I was realizing, tomorrow's surgery and what if she's not ready and this and that. And she suddenly unlatches and says, Ninny, all done. And just climbed down and ran off and started playing.
Oh,
And it felt like permission that I
mhm.
didn't know I needed from her. It felt, I can't even really explain it, but I knew I wasn't going to be depriving her of anything.
A mother's
So we
love is
nursed
amazing.
for 23 months, just shy of 2 years. And to this day, like following surgery, when I came home and I was going through with recovery, it was, you know, she saw what was happening. We had a book that prepared her for mastectomy that we were reading with her. So she says mastectomy today. She knows the word. She's not even 2.5 and she knows the word. She asks for her mastectomy book. She made the connection. She knows that's what mommy had. And she'll lift my shirt and say scars and give them kisses. And that is just, I didn't know I needed that. That was a different level of mental encouragement, support, relief that I couldn't have anticipated, that I don't know how she knew to give me, but she did. And
we need their permission. You know, we don't realize, and I'm a mom of two. I nursed both my kids, and you know, I did it when my son was 2.5. So I
mhm,
can definitely relate, but that bond is irreplaceable, right? Like you don't
yeah,
realize how much you can bond until you can nurture and feed that baby. And that connection is unreal. And what she did is empowered you to be who you are, right? Like I say it all the time, my daughter's my strength. Like there's days that I'm like, I just want to give up. And she's like, you better not give up on Braca Strong. And, you know, like one day your daughter's going to tell you, you know, you can't
yeah,
give up, keep fighting, and making sure that we educate our children on the BRCA gene mutation, on the risks, on what's going on there, because we don't know what's coming down the pipeline. You know, I posted on Mother's Day, right? We could all say, oh, happy Mother's Day, everybody. But like in reality, in the back of my mind, I think, well, on this Mother's Day, did I pass the gene to my children? You know, like it is something that constantly rumbles in my
I
head,
know.
knowing that there's a
And
50% chance, right? But we're
yeah,
not
and
talking about the next gen. We're talking about us, and our kids are learning, but are they
yeah.
learning what they should be learning, right?
And this is the justification I use to overcome this, because trust me, if my family had an issue with me wanting to continue to get pregnant, knowing I had this mutation. And it's just like, who knows what the science is going to be in 30 years when this may or may not be an issue for her. And at the same time, if I'm going to live under that type of fear, I might as well never leave my house. I
It's interesting that we talk about it because, you know, I was diagnosed, I found out in 2004 that I carried the gene, right? There was no let's embryo, let's see if we had there, and they knew I was BRCA positive. There
Mhm.
was none of that. So for me, I took the risk and I didn't want to play with anything. And I just said, you know, if my child has this gene, hopefully she does not or he does not, but in that time frame we're going to see a difference in their care and what's going to happen. Hopefully I pray that they don't have mastectomies and
Yeah.
hysterectomies like we have to, that there's a vaccine or something out there. And including our children in our care is so important. Like Dr. Alexia, our medical director, same thing, right? Like she posted for Mother's Day, like have your daughter involved. It's not going to chemo, but she got
Mhm.
days with her daughter. You know, like, so we have to kind of flip it around. Like you said, you know, she climbs on your lap. You didn't have to worry about the whole reconstruction. You're busy lifting, you're moving, you know, you move. Just imagine if you had reconstruction after you moved and you were lifting boxes during expanders. You know, those are
I
all.
I don't see how it would have happened. I had to sit down for an entire week after we got here
Right?
to just feel like I could breathe normally again. And that was 4 months post-op. If I had done any other different reconstruction, like I would have just been coming out of like the implant surgery stuff, I think. And I can't imagine that. So that's how I know I made the best choice for me. And that's all I want to preach. Make the best choice for you. So many voices are going to be in your ear telling you what they think is best for you, but they don't live in your body, in your life, in within your responsibilities. So try to shut that out and do what you know is right for you.
Know your breast reconstruction options, flat, D-flap, implants, whatever they are. Again, if you don't know by Google and you can't find them all, go to brockenstrong.org, breast reconstruction options. Know what you have. At least know what
Yeah.
you're facing before you're going to see your plastic surgeon. You know, since learning your diagnosis, right? Has your experience changed on the perspective of breast cancer and survivorship and thrivers to the community?
Yeah, a little bit in a way. I said before that once I joined the community, I immediately found overwhelming support. If I reached out to anybody, they gave me all they had. Um, I didn't find an overwhelming number of people that looked like me, represented my particular life. And that was okay. The experience is the experience. And in the 3 years since finding the community versus now sharing my own experience with it, I have come to recognize that there's a level of queer invisibility in this world of support that, I mean, I know I'm not the only queer person with a double mastectomy out there. Um, but when I get messages from people asking me for additional resources, that they came across me and they've been looking and looking, and do I know of anything else and I can't answer them? I'm just like, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Hannah. How can I help you? Like, that tells me there's a need here. And I'm looking into ways to start fulfilling that, whether it's starting my own group. I that seems to be the thing to do. Just jump in and do it. So
The question that I have for you is, what do you think is missing in the community that we can help find those resources, whether it's more LGBTQ coming together? Is it
well, and here's the thing, like it comes down to perspective in a way. And when the overwhelming numbers of women are in the community are cisgender, meaning they identify with the sex they were assigned at birth, and heterosexual. I mean, it's not that that is wrong. Like, I mean, do you? Obviously, it's just it's especially when you're non-gender conforming, like I am. Um, for example, a friend of mine shared with me, she's a super femme, gorgeous woman. Her most common question when she reveals she's choosing or thinking of choosing aesthetic black closure, what is that going to do to your femininity? Versus somebody like me, the question is, did your choice affirm your gender identity? Let's just say, before I go into this, either of those questions are none of your business, okay, and are rude. But two, it speaks to the different experience amongst different people. Not everybody is mean. Not everybody is that super femme person. It's I don't, it's society. It's the rules we live under. It's the constructs we live under. How everybody has to neatly fit into a box, and if you don't fit into that box, then you're just. And that's what non-binary is, not fitting into the box. So
and we at Brackish don't think that's totally unacceptable. And everybody is one, whether your gender identity is different, as we followed each other for a really long time. And I
yeah.
think that at this time, I really want to help you grow this
And that's what it
community.
comes down to, though, isn't it? The experience. Like, it's not so much the person and their individual characteristics or personality traits. It's this gene. It's the cancer. It's the whatever it is that brings us together that lends this feeling of solidarity. Um, my point in it is, and not like it's a bad thing, because it's only been since I've been more vocal that I've noticed it. It's just I don't feel the realm for specific queer gender identity support in this, because not every person who has a double mastectomy identifies as female.
Right.
And that's what it comes down to. So when you hear all the time women, 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 breast cancer women, but you don't call yourself a woman, you don't think yourself a woman, that it feels a little invisible and it's a little intimidating. Like, you go to that corner, you go to that area of help because the situation is similar, but the identity is so different. And I think we try to find those core identity values that we relate with within each other, that's what brings us together ultimately, and cause it, like, you relate on a certain level, you're going to send this person a message and ask for advice or support, but somebody else, like, whatever they said didn't resonate with you, so you pass on by that, and that's okay. That's okay. But sometimes people like me who don't neatly check the woman box, that don't, stick to the standard of breastfeeding instead of chest feeding, stick to the standard of just those cisgender terms around this. And yes, queer people are a small population of the majority, but we exist too. And I don't mean to say every organization that's out there needs to create a space for queer people to feel welcome. I'm just saying that that space is needed, and now I feel like I
I
have to
don't
do
think that I don't think people should have to create that space. I think that there is space in the community, and for me, for example, right, there's a need for it. And you know, when I saw you on live and you were like, there's no place for queer people, I'm like, no, there is a place, but those organizations want to have to bring that on to their place.
Or they do it during June and Pride Month.
Right.
You know.
But you know, it's the same thing as breast cancer, right? It's not just October. It's 365 days a year.
Yes,
so why are we
exactly.
taking these months and waiting for Gay Pride Month and not sharing this more often? Like, for any of the listeners that are on there that want to share their story and be featured on our blog, please feel free to reach out to me through DM, or you can email me. I know if you follow Hannah, you can feel free. She will share my contact with you.
Yes. I will even talk with you. I will help as much as I can. Yes, thank you for having me here.
You have to be the voice. And sometimes, you know, that one person makes that difference. And, you know, going on different platforms, and whether it's other nonprofits or it's other businesses or podcasts, you know, we're the only ones who can make a difference, right? We're not going to have other people making that difference for us, right? Like, I want to make a difference in pre-mastectomy care package world for women, right? Mm-hmm. I am making that impact.
And that's the other thing. It's not just women that get breast cancer. Men have breast too. They do. Yeah. They don't want to admit it, but they have boobs. Men have boobs.
But look at who's Beyonce's dad? Matthew Knowles, right?
Exactly.
Positive.
And they're so scared to come out and say they have breast cancer because it's a woman's disease. Guess what? It's a human disease. It's human. It's human. It just happens to affect XX more than XY.
And men need, guess what? After a mastectomy, men need a post-compression garment. Just so you guys know. Like, believe it or not, is that the craziest thing? Like, you're laughing, but it's a bra just like ours, but bigger, so it can hold and you don't get lymphedema and you don't get swelling. It holds it down, believe it or not. Like, when I found this out, I was like, really? Like, I know men get breast cancer, I know they have mastectomies, but do they really have to wear our, you know, like the garments that we wear? I figured, you know, like, I mean, they're not really that attractive anyway, these beautiful garments that they come up with, but in general, you know, I didn't even think about it before. So it's interesting on the different perspectives. Yes, men get breast cancer too, and the BRCA gene can affect men. You know, and these are things that we need to talk about in different months, again, different awarenesses, but they don't need to be just spoken about in that month. So from now on, I'm going to wait for you, and we're going to post a little bit more on this community, on this reach, and let's just get voices heard. Like, let's share stories. Let's make that difference. Like, I know Dr. Alexia just joined, our board member, medical director. I'm sure she will have no problem helping us expand on this topic, and Kate as well. But just, again, not making a space for you. You're in this space. We've been on each other's side for almost 3 years now, you know, but now your voice needs to get out there. And I totally agree with you. It's not just for women, it's for men, and people need to be heard in the different communities to make a difference, to talk about yourself, right? You nursed, you waited, you wanted that. That's what you wanted. You know, I knew when I got my BRCA gene, listen, I'm getting my preventative, you know, hysterectomy and prophylactic mastectomy after I have my children, regardless of anything. Like, there's no ifs or buts about it. You know what I mean? This is the way it is, and this is it. And that's what I did. And that body-soul connection we have with our children is just amazing. And that's what we need to do. And I see all of our amazing listeners on. Dr. Alexia is in, and then Pink Sue's Inc., Lakeisha, I'll connect you with her, and I'm sure she'd be honored to have you and share on her platform as well. She's an amazing nonprofit based in New York who funds utility bills, does prom shopping for kids. She's an amazing individual with metastatic breast cancer who just pours her heart and soul into it. So I will connect you with everybody, and let's be that voice. It's not where you belong, it's you belong.
I have time. Let's do it.
Let's
I
do
have time. I have energy. This is a passion now. I have always had an advocate's heart. I just didn't know that's what it was until I had something to speak about. I've always been a champion of the underdog, always. And now there's no going back. We announced a giveaway, and I
Yep.
want to, you said I can choose from the
You can
comment
choose.
stream.
Yep.
I'm going to go with Rayanne Peaceful.
Congratulations. So
Congratulations, Rayanne Peaceful. Thank you for joining tonight and for your support and encouragement and dialogue. She's a few weeks behind me in her recovery, and she's also, I don't want to speak too much to her experience, but she stuck out to me, and so here we are. Rayanne, congratulations.
perfect, Ryan. Do me a favor and send me a DM, please, when you're done, or you can send it to Hannah and just send me your address, and we will go ahead and get that shipped out tomorrow. And Hannah, thank you so much for coming on, being open, having that voice, making a difference. I know that there's a lot of women on here that are committed to helping in our community where we need help. And it's not, again, I don't want you to, oh, it's you belong here. It's like you belong with Rockestad, you belong in the community. You've been an outstanding voice, and I'm super grateful for you coming on and being so open. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to one of us. And if anybody wants to be featured or share their story, please do that. And if you don't follow Braca Strong, make sure you do. Tomorrow night, we also have an amazing call with Sandy from Osteo Strong Fort Lauderdale. It's Osteoporosis Awareness Month. Let's get talking about those bones that we don't talk about enough when we have preventative hysterectomies, and what we can do to avoid osteoporosis, what we can do to stretch and learn all kinds of information. As I'm so excited to have Sandy tomorrow night, who's the nurse practitioner and founder of the location in Fort Lauderdale. So thank you everybody for coming on. Hannah, it was great seeing you. Send love to the family, and we will be in touch soon.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Take care.